Thanks everyone, and great to be back. I was here 12 months ago or so, as many of you were. Firstly, well done to IMARC, putting on a fantastic and exciting conference and expo. When I was here 12 months ago, we started introducing the concepts around future pathways and different options available to help our customers decarbonise. Renewable diesel was one of those back then, and 12 months is, whilst it's a short period of time, most definitely there's lots that sort of happened between now and previously that 12 months ago. Predominantly around fuel specifications, some policy updates, some customer trials. We're starting to see now more things are just customers dabbling in renewable diesel. They're actually implementing it as part of their decarbonisation strategy. And ultimately expanding our supply and capabilities out to the marketplace. So it's an exciting place for Viva, and it's an exciting place for mining opportunities. So today we'll sort of whip through a few different options. I've got to put that up there to satisfy our legal people, so I'm sure you will all agree that's okay. But we are a quick, who is Viva? A little bit about renewable diesel around some of the options that we're looking at. We'll cover a little bit around emission reporting and some of the actual ways that we are seeing policy frameworks amending to encourage the adoption of these type of fuels. A little bit around customer examples, co-processing, which is really exciting for Viva Energy, quite unique in the Australian landscape, and a little bit around the hydrogen energy hub, which covers off hydrogen, and a little bit with regards to where to from here. So we'll whip through this pretty quickly. Starting with Viva, I'm sure you can all have a look up there on the board, but if you've got a lot of questions about it, our stand's just outside here, and the Viva Energy team over there will be happy to fill you in. But just some headline acts there. Around 25% or a quarter of the liquid fuels market is Viva. Essentially, we're pretty much a cornerstone player of the liquid fuels market in Australia across all different sectors. So three major family parts of our organisation: our commercial industrial business, which is what we call our B2B business or lines of business. So that covers everything from resources, aviation, marine, on-road transport, bitumen, solvents. So quite a extensive portfolio of hydrocarbon products into the marketplace. Our convenience and mobility, which is our retail network, one of the largest retail networks in the country now, and our energy and infrastructure. And I want to call out one particular top line point there, is that we're one of two remaining refineries left in the country. That's a critical asset, and it's a critical asset not only for fuel security and most definitely addressing some of the concerns around sovereign risk, but it's a critical asset when we talk about decarbonisation. We'll cover that off with some exciting new proposals and exciting new opportunities that are coming through that facility as well. So this is a slide I put up 12 months ago. I'm not going to cover it off, but if you don't know what renewable diesel is, it's essentially a drop-in alternative to conventional diesel, nearly identical to conventional diesel. It's got a lot of natural benefits around emission savings based on life cycle. It's recognised under a genuine Scope 1 emissions under the NGA's reporting for those companies who are actually reporting there. Storage infrastructure changeover is minimal, if any. Compatibility with existing diesel is very minimal. There's no issues in terms of for it being mixed or being fully miscible with diesel. Chop in and chop out of conventional to renewable. There's a number of key aspects here which are very, very promising, and we see this as very much a drop-in solution for the short term, and that short term might be now right over to the next 3 to 5 years or longer, depending on the assets and depending on the requirements of our customers, and also where they are on their transition journey as well and around decarbonisation. So we've seen a lot of companies and leapfrog ahead into electrification, potentially even green hydrogen, and now starting to revert back to decarbonisation with low carbon liquid fuels, and renewable diesel is very much a part of that as well. So there's one clarification on the right-hand side here on the screen. Those people who have been around in the low carbon liquid fuel game or the liquid biodiesel game, I suppose, there's two types of technologies out there. There's a FAME biodiesel, that's a completely different type of product compared to renewable diesel, which is what we're trying to do and bring into the marketplace now. So a little bit on the, hopefully it's big enough up there, great, on the fuel policy sign framework and different policy settings. So those who are reporting on the NGES framework as such, there's been a bit of an update in that policy, and the call out there is really is around decoupling physical display or physical delivery of product into your mine site or into your facilities to what we call shared infrastructure. So that sort of means that we're now able to push this product through our shared infrastructure as long as those products actually enter the market through that facility, such as a gantry. Customers now can start to claim some net benefits around their Scope 1 emissions without potentially physically receiving all the products as such there. So it's a key enabler now that breaks away from what traditionally used to happen, is that customers would ring up and said, look, we've got a trial renewable diesel or convert over to renewable diesel. We need it in our tanks to claim the Scope 1 emissions under the NGES reporting. What this is starting to do now is decouple that at the gantry perspective and start to allow customers to put an order in for renewable diesel. If it goes through the gantry, it goes out to every customer. Those people will put the order in, as long as those customers have been been delivered from that shared infrastructure, then that emission benefits can be allocated to those customers who actually require the renewable diesel as part of the reporting. There's a bit of yellow highlights there in terms of that. There's some key criteria around this as such, around documentation, flow, traceability, proof of the product entering the market, and also its environmental credentials around its biomass component as well. So the government has made it a little bit more easier. What this sort of means from Viva Energy, we start to look at importing larger volumes as such into the marketplace and dispersing that across our customer base through different facilities. It's already happening in aviation, so the renewable diesel cousin in terms of sustainable aviation fuel. That's starting to now take place, where we're starting to see bulk of that renewable fuel type coming into the marketplace. If you look at that traditional flow, it goes to an airport, it gets co-mingled with other aviation fuel and gets spread across that airport, and everyone uses a little bit of SAF and the like as well. Same type of philosophy is now entering in with renewable diesel, and we'll see this actually start to kickstart some of the scale and efficiency and break away from isotainer imports, which is what typically happen, to true bulk imports at this stage. The other thing that's sort of happened now is the DQ has come up and released a fuel standard, which is critical. So the fuel standard is as you see on the top there, a paraffinic diesel standard, which now makes sure that there's consistency, continuity, and also alignment with global fuel standards, but also we have a different technical characteristics to ensure there's no grey imports or there's consistency across every single customer, all of these type of fuels. Really a bedrock of what we require in the fuel industry to ensure that we've got product which is on spec, is always on spec, and we have a fuel standard now that aligns to the requirements of the OEMs as well. So that's pretty exciting for fuel producers, importers of renewable fuel, but also for our end customers to ensure that any products that we supply to market meet that standard. So that's a pretty big advancement in our world, but what this translates to is essentially ensuring that consistency of these type of fuels is there. We have a standard to ensure that we have to enforce, but also there's going to be no effects on your equipment, uptime, downtime in terms of that, or asset availability of your fleet as well. And again, that renewable diesel is full interchangeable with conventional diesel, so from your tanks perspective, there's no really requirements to worry about changing over there. So let's move on to some customer examples as such. So Viva earlier this year brought in the first bulk import into Australia of significant quantities. So we're talking over 10 million litres of shipping, and whilst it sounds like a big number as such, it was really a smaller number in terms of the scale of how much diesel we use in the country. But that wasn't the purpose of the exercise with Rio. It was now starting to adapt our existing supply chains, pushing that through to the fuel facility that Rio have up there in the Pilbara, and pushing that out to their facilities and mine sites, and ensuring that the product is fit for purpose for their requirements. That was an R20 blend rate, so we'll start to see some of these examples look at blends and also full neat applications. But as you can see on the shot there, which is real time of import, this is now adopting to our traditional imported fuel supply chains, and we'll start to see this scaling up. We've got some policy framework with the shared infrastructure. We've got obviously capabilities now to import this in terms of bulk, and we'll start to push this out into the marketplace on scale, which will ultimately help some of the commercials around the costings of this. So it's a really exciting opportunity, obviously over in the west, and these are the type of things that we'll start to do more frequently on and break away from the isotainer supply chain that's conventionally being used in these type of fuels. Another example, and these examples also sit outside the mining industry, but why I put them up there is that it shows a diversification of these type of fuels and where they're being used. So in this case, for those people who are from Victoria, they'll know the V-line trains. That was an extended trial and service where they actually converted those particular locos or those train engines over to neat R100. In that instance, it was quite a long time frame, and we actually just pushed R100 or neat renewable diesel into the fuel tanks on those locos or on those trains, and we continued service without any disruption to their operations, whatever the case would be. Some really good learnings came out of that around fuel consumptions, emissions and the like that we monitored. So there's another great example where we're actually using neat products in different applications as well, which can be adopted to obviously other platforms. For those who visited the Formula One down in Melbourne, again, a lot of the generators and backup generators were using renewable diesel at that event. Again, in neat form. Again, simplistic. These generator sets just came in. They were already running on diesel. Some of them had full diesel tanks, some of them had partial, some were emptied to as much as possible. Renewable diesel, which was able to actually go in there and most definitely be applied without any issues around downtime and availability. So you imagine an event like that, which happens over 4 or 5 days. A lot of their power needs are from remote power situations and gen sets. If these things go down, and there's obviously some critical assets which need to be ensured that they're online. So that was a great example again of actually just implementing something simple in its nature, but has an easy conversion requirements, and we most definitely are able to actually transition over to renewable diesel. Fairly simple. Another example around off-highway, Western Sydney Airport was another great example, working with We Build there in Parklife. Again, off-highway, different applications, renewable diesel in the R100 form. This was really a great opportunity to demonstrate how these fuels work in different types of climates, more on standby, more of peak loading, then they coming off and understanding their performance on these type of equipment, including fuel consumption. So these type of things are really providing the backbone of examples that we actually take to market when these type of fuels become more mainstream. Recent one with Whitehaven, again, stationary assets or auxiliary assets at this particular mine site, using R100, trialling through their equipment, short-term type of trial environment, again with no ill effects on operation or conversion of the assets. So transport, again, and we'll keep going through, and again we're suppliers of ADF. They wanted a blended R30 blend for their particular requirements, so we use that in their marine and also ground fuels. So out of all this is essentially a cross diversification on top of these fuels are being used in the marketplace, which builds the confidence and credibility of these type of fuels, and also the supply, and making sure the PQ and everything we do for conventional fluids is on spec. Just a little bit out of these trials that we used. We are now starting to do emission testings out of the tailpipe. So this looks at things such as CO, fuel consumption, NOx, particulate matter, obviously carbon dioxide as well, and understanding what these type of fuels have on the actual emissions, away from typically what the life cycle of these fuels, but now what's happening outside the tailpipe for the environments that these type of fuels are operating in. So these type of studies are starting now to derive some really net benefits of those type of opportunities as well. So it's just beyond just the fuel being used in the actual application to now understanding the net environmental benefits from tailpipe emissions. So we've been pushing forward with that on a number of trials as well. Just some other opportunities, and we talked about the refinery. Viva are heavily investing in co-processing and the potential of using the refinery, an existing asset that we've already got built, product quality in place, employees in place down at Geelong in Victoria. This sort of looks at it from a different angle. We're obviously processing crude, but the whole viewpoint around co-processing is to displace crude with low-carbon feedstocks such as used cooking oil, pyrolysis oils, and then even virgin feedstocks such as canola oils and the like, which is an interesting space to be. So there's not always the case that we need to build something new. We should be looking at what we currently got in our capacity to start the decarbonisation journey. So in this instance, is a little bit different to its name. Co-processing means co-mingled. So you're using the refinery and most definitely going through the different stages in the refinery to actually produce an identical molecule to conventional fuels as such. So in this instance, we've used cooking oil. That sort of came back from Snack Brands, which is a chip manufacturer. We took that used cooking oil, we plumbed it into the refinery. Out came our polymers component, or polypropylene. We did that on a mass balance by attribution basis, and we assigned the emission benefits back to the polymer component, which went back into manufacturing the chip packet as such. So that's a great circular economy opportunity that we've actually done. We've trialled this with tyre pyrolysis oils, with plastic pyrolysis oils, so we sort of see this opportunity as we ramp up as well. But the key thing here is that it's not segregated, it's not separated, it's most definitely fully integrated with the refinery, and you move to an emission-based certificate scheme to offer the emission benefits rather than a physical supply like things such as renewable diesel. Whipping through here, another couple of examples. We've tried looking at end-of-life tyres. So again, using pyrolysis to convert those end-of-life tyres once they get crumbed, and then they go through the various stages of reintroducing that back into the refinery as such to then be processed into conventional diesels as well. So that's exciting for the mining. We know tyres is a big problem not only in the mining sector but in the passenger car market and also transport market with prime movers, and we're starting to see this opportunity to use this pathway as a potential way of actually closing the loop from waste products and reintroducing that back into the refinery to produce low carbon liquid fuels ultimately. So that's some exciting stuff there. In regards to some other opportunities up on the board here, you'd see the used cooking oil again. That sort of went from chip manufacturers, and here we are down there with Snack Brands, and went through the whole processing. Similar again with hard to recycle plastics, and we work with Cleanaway in that instance to take that type of scenario and look at those soft plastics and then replumb those in the refinery. So we don't have high capex involvement. We don't have a greenfield site. We're not waiting for essentially something to be built. We're actually using existing infrastructure to repurpose that to derive low carbon liquid fuels and low carbon products as well through our assets down at Geelong. Just on a few closing notes here, this is our energy hub. Really exciting for our new energies team here. So this is you could say a look into the future around a service station. This has green hydrogen generation. You probably see the big blocks there on the right-hand side, which is the electrolyser. It self-generates its own green hydrogen from obviously water. It's plumbed out of the refinery into a treatment plant and back into the electrolyser. With having green hydrogen gaseous green hydrogen at pump at 350, 700 bar. And also it has conventional diesel at the pump, and then out of shot a little bit down the further left there is electric charging as well. So it's a bit of a glimpse for those people in the future what a service station might look like for for the road transport sector in particular. So a couple of things. So where to from here? It's challenging. There's lots of potential, but there's still all the things we know about and around scaling, adopting, and most definitely working through the ability of using our existing infrastructure to help decarbonise. There's a lot of opportunities to repurpose existing feedstocks, either through the refinery or potentially through new greenfield sites, restricting that feedstock going offshore, repurposing it back into local manufacturing and reintroducing those low carbon liquid fuels into the marketplace. And I think our co-processing opportunities there provides a potential avenue for that. A big thing that gets forgotten about is competition. We talk about renewable diesel in this setting. I'll go to an aviation seminar or conference and we'll talk about sustainable aviation fuel, utilising same type of feedstocks. We'll go to a marine conference, they're looking at using biofuels. So I think what this ends up happening, you have this inter-competition between different industries to help decarbonise low carbon liquid fuels, and it's going to be interesting to see which industry goes forward and which gets adopted these type of fuels earlier and secure up these molecules as well. Obviously cost is nowhere near where it needs to be at the moment, and we recognise that. We're hoping with scaling, maybe potential policy settings that are coming down the track will help. But I think one thing there out of my takeaway is that second major point down there is that we're going to be transitioning from the physical product to an emission-based certificate scheme as such. And I see that as the next potential opportunity to help reduce costs in the marketplace as well. So overall, we'll see the displacement of conventional diesel in this case with low carbon liquid fuels, then ultimately into emission certificates, which will essentially issue out on the basis of their greenhouse gas emission savings based on a life cycle, and we'll go from there. And we're at the end. Thank you.